Hello Year 9. As part of your sort of ongoing developmental work, which is worth up to 20 marks, you do need to carry out some materials research. Obviously, not being in school, I can't give you samples and we can't analyse them and test them as we would normally do if this was a sort of in-school project. But just for the sake of developing your knowledge of materials, we do need to look into that. So that's our aim for this lesson, to really develop your knowledge of the 5 main categories of materials. So we are going to hopefully embed and develop your knowledge of a range of materials. There are 5 main categories that you're going to be looking at today. They're not the most detailed, there are more examples and different types, but we're going to look at these, and the whole point is that you weigh up which is the most suitable for your light. You might want to have a combination based on their properties, based on their appearance. You may want just one, okay? You may find at the end of this that you actually hadn't planned to use a certain material, but you do like the look of it. So thinking about your light and your ideas so far, which would be best and why? This is how you are assessed. This is why it's such an important area of your assessment. In less than a year, you will have started your NEA, as I've mentioned before, worth half of your grade. And if we just look at this, I'll take the middle column, grade 4 to 5, you should be able to select materials and components. Components are all your extra bits like fastenings and so on, with some research into their working properties. That's how they perform whilst they're being used, like stretchy, or whether they are strong. Those mean working properties, and also about how available they are. Okay, so it's really being able to think about, are they suitable and for the purpose. Working properties basically mean what the material can do whilst it's being used. So can it withstand high impact like ash, which is why it's then used for a cricket bat? Can pine be used because it's quite durable and easy to cut? It's those working properties that we base our decisions on. These are some other things to think about. How does the material look? Does it suit the look we're going for? What are they commonly used for and why? How can they be manufactured? You know, are they easily cut? Are they really, really hard to cut through? Some metals are really, really tough to manufacture, so it would limit their use. What do they do whilst they're being used? Are they strong? Are they durable? All kinds of things we have to think about when we're looking at materials. So the first category, I've literally just taken a few. There are obviously many, many more hardwoods and softwoods, but you can see from this table of information, you've got hardwoods, what the advantages are of those, what are their disadvantages, and what they're then used for. Okay, and I want you to just think about, if you haven't already, would any of these types of woods, obviously there's hardwoods there, softwoods, manufactured woods, are any of these suitable to be made into your light? Maybe for the base, maybe for the light shade, maybe for affixing on the wall. Have a look at the criteria here, you know, the properties, the good and the bad points, and just think about whether woods of any kind would be suitable. So I would pause this now, and I would be making some notes about the ones that possibly stand a good chance in being suitable for your light, such as pine being easy to work with, you can finish it well, and we know it's not overly costly compared to the hardwoods. Here are some metals that you might like to think about. These aren't all the metals that we have to learn about in DT. There are many others, but these are just some that I thought you might have seen before, might recognise, but also might link in nicely with a light project. So for instance, good conductor of electricity is copper. You can see that there, commonly used in electrical wiring. You've got those that have quite an aesthetical appearance, low carbon steel possibly, if you like the look of sort of brushed metal. You've got those that are light in weight, which might be handy for a light shade. So lots to think about. Again, if you can pause this and write down those that stand some suitability in what you're thinking of. And here are some of the many plastics that are in use. And they have chemical names, so I've tried to put in bold there their main common names, and then obviously in brackets you can see some very sort of complicated sounding names, some of which you will have heard of before, some you wouldn't have. But it's worth putting those down if that's what you're thinking of using, just so that you're familiar should they come up in the exam. But most plastics will be called their sort of shortened version, like PVC would be the name that you hopefully got in your exam paper. Have a look at the advantages. Again, pause this please. Have a look at which ones are good for dealing with electrical switches, for instance. So quite a good insulator, doesn't cause electric shocks. That's what you would want, and that's what the urea formaldehyde would be good for. You've got those that can be easily molded, so you might want to mold the lamp shade or the light base, and that's when you would maybe pick a PET. There are others that are stronger but flexible, so you could mold them, shape them, all kinds of things here to think about. Another category that we do have to learn about in DT, but it's probably a category you hadn't thought about choosing as part of your light, is boards, as in cardboards. We do have to know about the different types of cardboards and their properties and why they're used and how they're, if they have any sort of finishes added and so on. But some cardboards are strong and they are quite easily shaped. You can laser cut card, and you might find that this adds a sort of recycled, maybe a more sustainable element to your project work. If this is what you were, if that's your kind of user's need, if you're trying to do something that is more environmentally friendly, then maybe recycled card could be what you focus on. You can see the properties, you can see what their end uses are, and hopefully this might give you some thoughts about what you could apply to your light. So please pause this, jot down those, write down those that are good or maybe have some prospect in being used, and of course do write down those that are like absolutely no way suitable as well. So here is the last category that you do need to know about for DT, for the exam and tests that you'll be doing across the next 2 years. This is one of the 5 areas. It is something that you probably didn't think you would be considering for a light, but of course many light shades are fabric, or at least part, combination of fabrics and possibly metal. So you can see here some of the most commonly known ones down the left hand side, what they're particularly good for, the advantages, and then what the disadvantages are. Fabrics come in all kinds of thicknesses, so you can have some that are thicker than others. You might have designed a light to be something that you have as part of a bed, so it's built in, not taking up much space. You might think about the fact that it's a way of maybe recycling old clothing, again, if you're trying to do the sustainability project. So just have a look at this, pause it, jot down any that are maybe suitable, and then of course those that are really not suitable, like the ones that are highly flammable. So this is a way of showing that you have thought about the different materials and their properties and why and where they might be suitable for your light. So you could either copy and paste this page and add it to your project work if you're working on a computer or a device, or you can neatly handwrite it out. Either way is fine, as long as you're getting this information down and showing me that you have thought about which materials will be most suitable and said why. And obviously it's based on their properties, because this is one of the key areas that you are assessed on. It's a really important area. All designers have to think about which materials are most suitable and give, sort of be aware of the reasons why. And then to go hopefully a stage further, this is the sum task. This is you showing that you're evaluating. Try and think about the materials that you really won't use and say why. Are they too stretchy? Will they not hold their shape? Are they not strong enough? Will they break? Are they not aesthetically pleasing? Do you not like the look of plastic as a light because it will make it look maybe a bit tacky? Some people like going for woods and metals as a smarter look. It depends on your client, your target market. If you're targeting children, maybe plastics would be best because they can come in all kinds of bright, colourful shapes and colours. So think about your target group and think about what suits your ideas so far. Please do add the bits about why, giving your reasons. Thank you. And then as a quick recap, which of those 5 material categories have got some of the properties that you require for your light? So are you focusing primarily on woods? Are you focusing mainly on metals or plastics? Do have a think about which categories you are keen to focus on. It might be just one category, maybe just a completely plastic kind of light that you want to focus on. Or you might have thought about a combination from each of the categories, you never know. Okay, so good luck with this. Thank you. Bye-bye.